Hello and welcome. Oh, do it properly. Hello and welcome to Round the Table episode 40. Broadcasting not only to Bilbao but throughout the world.
Oh, is it 40 already?
It's number 40, yes. And this week we're talking about improvement. That's the topic of the week. And we were talking about, of course, because it's that time of year, when people make New Year's resolutions.
What's your New Year's resolution?
I don't have a New Year's resolution. Only to do more of the same. More of the good bits and less of the bad bits. But not to suddenly, no drastic changes, I don't think. That's not the way to do things, I don't think. I don't want any drastic changes because my life is just so perfect.
Lucky you.
So I'm not going to change anything, I don't think. But it's the traditional time for people to give up smoking, give up coffee. I suggested that in class this week. People were appalled at the idea of giving up coffee.
Yeah, why would you give up coffee?
Some people do. Remember, I was talking to one of the girls I know, one of the English girls I know in Bilbao, and she was going to give up tea. And I thought, well, she must drink a lot of tea to need to give up. And I said, how many cups of tea do you have? And she said, 2. 2 a day? That's not a major addiction, is it?
Yeah, I was thinking about her just now.
But some people think anything that's slightly bad for you is, if you drink enough of anything or eat enough of anything, it's going to kill you. But you don't have to stop eating them completely. Like if you ate bacon every day for every meal, it wouldn't be good for you. But nobody does that.
Yeah.
So it doesn't mean you have to stop eating bacon because it's bad for you. You can have bacon, but just don't eat it with every meal. But some people get the wrong end of the stick, don't they? They get the wrong end of the stick. There's an interesting phrase. You know what that means?
They get it wrong.
Yes.
They don't understand the concept, the idea, yeah.
That's right. It's to misunderstand something.
Yeah.
They get the wrong end of the stick. I don't know.
And what end is that then?
What stick is it? I don't know.
What end of the stick is the
I don't know
wrong one?
what the good end and the bad end is. But obviously sticks. Yeah, I don't know what that refers to, really, what the stick was originally. But anyway, to get the wrong end of the stick is to misunderstand something. Anyway, so we were talking about New Year resolutions, and a lot of people were saying that also at the end of the summer.
Oh, yeah. That's a big time as well, yeah. Because it's the beginning of the year. Again.
Well, it is. It's the beginning of the academic year. And then we were talking about the academic year and why it doesn't begin in January, which would be the obvious thing. And then I did some research. So are you ready for some amazing facts? Cue the jingle. Amazing facts of New Year's and when New Year's begin. Now, of course, we used to have a Julian calendar, which was the calendar that was used by the Romans under Julius Caesar. And that changed under a Pope Gregory, or Gregorio. And at that time, they discovered that they'd been miscalculating, and we were wrong by about 11 days or something like that. So they redesigned the calendar and they changed it. So various countries changed over to the Gregorian calendar. Now this was in 1582. And of course, Pope Gregory being the Pope, all of the Catholic countries changed instantly. So Spain, Italy, Portugal, they went to the Gregorian calendar instantly in 1852. But the Protestant countries were a bit more reluctant because they saw it as a papish plot. They didn't trust it. It was a Catholic thing, and it must be bad. So Britain didn't change until 1752.
Wow, I never knew it was so late.
Yeah, I didn't realise. I thought maybe there was a 10-year difference or something like that, but that's like nearly 2 centuries.
Yeah.
So when Britain changed, then all of the territories that were run by Britain changed at that time. And then Russia stayed with a different calendar until the Russian Revolution of 1918. Russia changed and got the same calendar as the rest of Europe, except, well, not all of Europe, because Greece didn't change until 1923.
Wow, yeah.
I never knew all this. This is according to my chat GPT. I presume it's all correct.
Oh, well.
But normally for this kind of thing it's correct.
Yeah.
It normally
I
has
guess,
these kind of facts. So yeah, the old Roman year started in March. That was considered the beginning of the year because apparently, being the end of winter, Mars, where the name March, the month is named after the planet, which is the god Mars, who was the god of war. And that was their traditional season for having battles. Because you can't have a war in the winter because the roads are too muddy, and moving all of the troops and all the things they need to transport wasn't possible in the winter, so they had to wait for the weather to clear up a bit. So March meant the beginning of the fighting season, so they went off to war, and that is why at the end of the year we have September, October, November, December, which come from the numbers 7, 8, 9 and 10. Which a lot of people don't realise, that you think of December as being the 12th month, yeah? But no, it's the 10th month. Because then you've got January, February after that, which are 11 and 12, and then March is number 1. And apparently many people still celebrated March the 25th as New Year's Day. In medieval times it was very common, and in some places much later, because it was seen as the beginning of the year. And if you think about it, when the weather starts to change, and you, especially if you're in an agricultural community where you're going out and digging the ground and planting seeds and all that kind of thing, it's the beginning of the year. You know, there's work to be done.
Makes more sense, really, if you think about it.
Yeah.
Like December is just so dark.
And the difference between December and January, you know, it's not like there's something you can do in January that you couldn't do in December. It's all the same kind of stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, December, January and February.
But you can see that March would be, especially when people lived out in the country and they were much more aware of changing seasons.
Days are much longer.
Yeah.
Well, it starts to be.
Yeah, and you'd notice that it was the beginning of the growing season when you needed to prepare things. So that was rather good. And one of the things we were talking about was this beginning of the academic year being in September. And we entertained the idea, we were toying with the idea, that's the verb to toy, we were toying with the idea that maybe it's because lots of people were needed to work on the land for the harvesting at the end of the summer. And maybe you had to wait until all the work was done on the farm before children could go and study, because children were needed. Because it was all hands. The more people you had working, the better. Because when there was work to be done on a farm, it had to be done. You couldn't wait.
Yeah, of course.
Nature tells you this is the sunny day and this is when the work has to be done.
Yeah.
So everybody had to work, and I checked it, and I asked my computer, and my computer said it's because of that. Yes. So the school year traditionally started after the harvesting was over, and the children were there then more free. They had more time to go and study.
Yeah, also makes sense. Yeah.
And that got exported abroad because of the influence of European countries. That went abroad to other countries, and then a lot of South American countries, and in Australia and New Zealand they changed it to be more compatible with their climate, so they start their academic year in the new year in January,
Yeah.
which seems much more logical.
Yeah.
It certainly works for them because they have their summer holidays
Yeah.
for Christmas.
Yeah.
It's really weird, isn't it? It's hard to imagine having summer holidays and having Christmas in the middle of your holidays.
Yeah.
And in Australia, they go to the beach and they have like
Yeah.
Santa bikinis and stuff like that.
Yeah, it is very strange.
And they make a snowman out of sand.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But apparently on there, they send Christmas cards to each other and they're very traditional. I don't know if all of them are, but they have that tradition of sending Christmas cards. But because the tradition has been imported from Britain, they've got a lot of that imagery of snow and stagecoaches and all that Victorian style of how we imagine Christmas, very much in a Victorian Charles Dickens style Christmas.
Yeah, yeah.
That imagery is very much built into our understanding of Christmas. And apparently they have the same kind of thing in Australia, even though their Christmas bears no resemblance to that whatsoever.
Yeah.
I mean, ours doesn't bear much resemblance to it, but at least it's cold
Yeah.
and it might snow.
And you have the fire on.
Yeah,
and-
yeah. But if you live in
Yeah.
Australia, it's a totally alien concept, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, snowmen and robins and holly and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. The good thing about having two different years, like the academic and the new year, is that it breaks the year a little bit, don't you think?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's like you have two opportunities to.
To start again. Well, every day is a new year.
I know.
If you want it to be.
I know.
Because your birthday is a new year, isn't it?
Well, I think that's the only new year to me. Like.
Well, yeah, that should be the only one. We should have birthday resolutions, really,
Yeah.
shouldn't we? But I think the New Year, I think part of the New Year celebration is actually you do tend to look back at what's happened over the last year. You see these programs on TV and they go back over all of the major historical events and all the celebrities that have died and all that kind of stuff. And you think,
Yeah.
oh, it's been a long year. Oh, that happened. Oh, I forgot
Yeah.
that. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
And you sort of reflect on the year. So maybe that's why people see that they should change and they had plans and the things they didn't do that they should have done and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I think most of the times with the new resolutions, people have them because they've already have them. You know what I mean? Like, go to the gym, be healthier, learn a new ability or a new language. But they don't even think about it. They don't even think if they really want to do it. So probably they don't. And that's why they never do it.
No, it's a huge failure rate.
Yeah.
80% of resolutions are finished by February.
Yeah.
That's what my computer told me this morning. I was asking about the failure rate. 80% of them don't get beyond February, and a very small percentage get all the way through the year.
Yeah. But I guess it's because it's always the same ones. And you don't stop and say, actually, do I want to go to the gym? Because if you don't, there's no point on doing the same.
If you're going to do anything, you really need to want to do it.
Yeah.
You can't set yourself resolutions because you think you should, or it would improve your standing in society or something. You know, if you don't want to learn a language, you won't learn it. If you don't really want to lose weight or give up smoking, you won't. You have to really want it.
Well, you want to have the result, but you don't want to go through the process of going to the gym every day or give up eating biscuits or. That's the difficult bit.
People want the results. Yeah, they don't want to learn a language. They want to know a language.
Yeah.
By magic. And I think,
by saying this year, I'm going to learn a new language.
Yeah, but there is work involved. There's a lot of work involved in learning a language. It's not an easy thing, and it's a never-ending thing.
I think in everything you need to spend time. Dedication is vital.
And another thing that the computer suggested this morning, which we never thought of this week in our conversations, was the number of apps that are downloaded for New Year. All of these fitness apps and learning a language, the Duolingo and all that.
Yeah.
There's suddenly a peak in people downloading things like that.
Yeah.
We never thought of that because it's a modern technology. But
yeah. In fact, what I did at the end of the year was remove the ones I haven't used for more than 3 months. Being Duolingo, one of them.
If I have any resolution, it's to continue my policy from last year of removing any feed that comes into my YouTube thing about politics and Donald Trump and all that kind of stuff, because it's very, very negative, and there's nothing I can do about what's going on in the world. So my plan is to continue not being in touch with the world.
Yeah, well, you're doing very well, I must say.
Yeah, I don't really want to associate with all that kind of stuff. But continue making lovely videos every weekend to do the podcast as we do. And people watching now might like to know that you are watching a real sunrise. I apologise. It's a sunrise. A genuine Bilbao sunrise there with a spectacular orange sky, which I was quite impressed with, in real time as well. It's not even speeded up. The clouds are moving quite quickly. That was about a week ago we recorded that one. So on page 8 here, I messed up the page numbers. It goes 6, 8, then
Blank.
1 without anything, and then number 9. I changed 7 and 8 around. Anyway, the page there of quotations, there are some very good quotations all about improvement.
I like this one. In 6 months' time, you'll either have 6 months worth of progress or 6 months worth of excuses.
Yeah, that's a good one, that, isn't it? Because most of the time we tend to postpone things. It's like a lot of work, isn't there? If you have things to do at home, you either write a list or you have a list in your mind. You think, I must get on with my homework. And then you think, oh, maybe I could do the washing up first while I think about it. Oh, those windows need cleaning. Normally you don't like cleaning windows. You hate cleaning windows, but then when there's a worse thing that you have to do, suddenly cleaning windows seems very appealing, doesn't it?
Yeah, you always find something to do.
Yeah, and you end up with an immaculate house because you've got a huge homework project that you have to work on. Your house is suddenly spotless. Yeah, so delay is a big problem. Just begin the project. I think that's one of the biggest steps, is starting the project.
Yeah.
Like one of your students the other day who said he decides he's going to do 5 minutes of English and he starts watching a video, and then
3 hours later,
Yeah.
wow.
3 hours flies by quickly. But it's the first step, isn't it? Once you get the momentum going, it's not that difficult, but it's just that first step, and turning the computer on and starting to read something or start the listening.
Yeah.
But
I find that also going to the swimming pool. It's like it's cold, raining,
Yeah.
and you're at home really nice and warm.
Yeah.
But once you go, it's
Yeah.
great.
And whenever you come back, you always say, I'm glad I went.
Yeah.
But it's just going out of the house when it's nice and warm at home and it's raining outside. You don't feel like it, do you?
Yeah.
And I remember someone telling me that about the class when he used to come on Mondays. He said, after work he just thinks, I'm going to go home and relax.
Yeah.
But then once he was in the English class, it was fun and we had a good chat, and it wasn't too difficult or anything.
Yeah. And the good thing is you live better, feeling better than you came in. Yeah.
Because we also got on to the ones about what was that about failure. There was this one. Don't fear failure. Fear being in the exact same place next year as you are today.
Yeah.
And then there was the number 7 here, the Churchill one. Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It's the courage to continue that counts. And we were saying there are some people that, if you're afraid of failure, you don't attempt things.
You don't do anything.
Yeah. And like you could spend your whole life lying on the sofa watching television, and yeah, you don't attempt anything, but then you say, I didn't fail at anything.
Yeah.
But you can't exactly call your life a success, can you?
No.
If you've been lying on the sofa for years.
Yeah. I think that's a cultural thing as well, because here failure is not, I don't know, very popular.
I think it might be in quite a lot of cultures, because you think of the when you think of American culture, being successful is a very prestigious thing, isn't it? And they tend to look at all the successful people, and nobody wants to talk about the unsuccessful people.
Yeah, but those people who are successful is because they made lots of mistakes in the past.
Well, there's that other quote, isn't there? The man who, that one there.
Yeah.
The man who never made a mistake never made anything.
Yeah. So to be successful, first you have to make lots of mistakes.
And I think, it's not necessarily failure, is it? Because you learn as you go along.
Yeah.
And even if you, I don't know, you say, I'm going to the top of that mountain over there today. And maybe you don't get to the top of the mountain, but you still have a good day out.
Yeah.
You're still walking and exercising and looking at views and things like that. And even if you tried to learn a language, like you're never going to finish learning a language anyway.
No.
But even if you said, I'm going to try to learn Chinese this year, you might consider it a failure, but still you'd learn a lot of Chinese. You'd learn a better understanding of Chinese culture.
Yeah.
You'd learn a bit about how the characters that they draw, how that all works.
Yeah.
And you'd learn a bit of vocabulary and a bit of the grammatical structures and things. So you'd never not, it's not 100% failure. There's always something that you can take from it.
Yeah.
Which failure is overrated. Failure is a good thing. But I wanted to do the quote of the week, if I may choose a quote of the week, and it's not on this page.
Oh, okay.
The one that I forgot to put on was, it's never too late to be what you might have been. And I think it's Eleanor Roosevelt said that. It's never too late to be what you might have been. I just like the structure of the sentence.
Yeah.
It's good, isn't it?
Yeah.
And again, a lot of people think it's too late to learn things, for example.
Yeah.
Next week, we are talking about music, and we're going to be talking about this as well. Because a lot of people say, there's no point in me learning an instrument now because I'm 50, 60, 70, however many years they are.
But if you think about our meeting point, most of the people are retired people, which makes them like really brave, I find.
Yeah.
I really appreciate.
A lot of people have come to a new language quite late in life.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's true. And I'd like to encourage everyone to buy a guitar as well. I think everybody should do it. Because there's also that thing, another thing we discussed this week is the curse of comparison, I heard it described as. And whenever we do something, we tend to compare ourselves with the very best people. So if you buy a guitar or learn a bit of piano, you only need to learn enough to entertain yourself.
Yeah.
You sit there and you make some notes and you think, that was fun, and then you put it down and then you go and do something else.
Yeah.
We're not saying you have to be good enough to perform at Wembley Stadium.
Yeah.
You don't have to sell a million records.
Yeah.
It's just fun, isn't it?
Yeah.
But we always tend to compare ourselves with like the best piano player you've ever heard, or the best guitarist, or even people that do drawing. People do drawings and then say, but I'm not very good, because they're comparing themselves because they've been to the museum and they've seen a painting by someone who's like one of the best painters that ever lived. And if you're going to compare yourself to him, then of course you're not going to be very good. But don't compare yourself to that person.
Yeah.
Compare yourself to who you were 6 months ago. Make the progress. That's what you want. And it doesn't matter if you don't reach the end goal, because with a lot of things like this, there is no end goal.
I think the key is to enjoy the path. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. It's the journey that's important, isn't it? And if like when we were discussing hobbies a while ago, a lot of the time people start a hobby, but if they're in a group, it's the group that becomes more important than the hobby. People go walking in the mountains in big groups, but there's a social activity.
Yeah.
And people join a choir.
Yeah.
It's not just because of the singing, it's because they're in a group of people and the communication, and then they'll go for a glass of wine afterwards
Yeah,
and
I
things
think
like
that's
that.
why they joined the choir.
Because didn't you go out with your swimming pool people or the gym people?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you end up
Yeah.
building social groups, don't you?
Yeah.
So the activity, and again, we're learning languages. You know, people come to the meeting point, they have a good time. And after a while, it's coming to the meeting point and having a good time is the more important thing. And learning the language is a good bonus, but that's not really why they're there. And I think that happens with lots of things.
Yeah.
If you can play music is one thing, but if you can meet up with someone else who's also got a guitar, and you can swap ideas and play together, then it's a really good bonding thing.
Yeah.
So that was the quote of the week. That's all my amazing facts. That's the beautiful sunrise in the background there, slow TV. It's a wonderful thing. Don't forget, everybody, that at the back of your book there are those QR codes which take you to all the pronunciation videos that I put on the other channel, Meeting Point English. This one is called Round the Table. There we have 2 channels. So on Meeting Point English you can find all of those videos to which we have QR codes at the back of your book there on page 86. So don't forget to watch those. And also the other thing is that I must tell everyone this week about that app for the phone. You can get this app for your phone. I might have told you all before, but you can basically take a photograph of a page and the app will read the page to you. And it might be useful for those of you that like looking at these articles that I put in the book. Maybe you want your phone to read them to you. It might be interesting as an alternative. Practice a bit of listening rather than reading. Or you can do both.
Yeah.
So I must remember to tell everyone about that this week. So next week we'll be discussing music, at least on Monday you won't, because the Monday group haven't started yet, so they're still on Unit 1. But the rest of you will be discussing music, and that's going to be a really interesting conversation, I'm sure. So, is there anything else to say?
I don't think so.
Neither do I. So, have a good week. Till next week. Bye.
Bye.